Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to One Heart, One Mind Center for Spiritual Living. And we are beginning our service today with Jessie Powers. So, Jessie, take it away.
Okay. We're going to talk about sitting in the heart of love, because that's kind of why we gather on Sunday.
Yes.
To get seated in that comfy chair of love. Sunshine on my face and the day is made of magic. Sometimes I still find a way to make my life feel tragic. Good things pour down on me like summer rain is so warm. I try to run, but it's so much better to dance in the storm. You see, I accept my joy without question, it's a blessing. I accept my pain without question, it's a blessing. I accept my joy without question, it's a blessing. I'm expanding and I'm standing in the heart of love, in the heart of love, in the heart of love, in the heart of love. Things crumble into chaos and I don't know where to turn next. Seems like I'm a failure, but I know it's all for the best. Good things are coming my way, even if I can't see them yet. And if I open my eyes and trust, I'll see that I've been blessed. Oh, I accept my joy without question, it's a blessing. I accept my pain without question, it's a blessing. I accept my joy without question, it's a blessing. I'm expanding and I'm standing in the heart of love, 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 in the heart of love. I see my blessings and I'm accepting, no hesitation, no reservation. I see my blessings and I'm accepting, no hesitation, no reservation. I see my blessings and I'm accepting, no hesitation, no reservation. I see my blessings and I'm accepting, no hesitation, no reservation. I accept my joy without question, it's a blessing. I accept my pain without question, it's a blessing. I accept my joy without question, it's a blessing. I'm expanding and I'm standing in the heart of love, 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 oh, in the heart of love, in the heart of love, in the heart of love, in the heart of love.
Thank you, Jessie. What a way to energize us to get us started. And I'm your practitioner today, so if you would please join me in consciousness as we give thanks for this opportunity to come together to hear Abigail's talk, knowing that it was the pushing of Spirit that brought us here today, because Spirit knows exactly what it is we need to hear for our forward movement in our life. We are thankful for all that Spirit does for us, for we know that God is the creator of all that is, and that its presence is right here in the middle of us, and it is conducting the lesson today and all of the participation. And we are grateful for all the volunteers that are here to make this happen. So we let these words go, knowing that they're in law and they have already manifest, and we are experiencing the joy of them. And together we say, and so it is. Okay. We are ready for our quote. Okay. This is our September affirmation. So if you will join me while I say that, it says, today I am grateful for my existence, for that of my loved ones, my community, my country, and my world, beauty, and bountifulness are everywhere present. Reminders that I live in a world of opulence that advertises spirit's omnipresence. And that's by Michael Beckworth. What I have to share with you today is a experience that I have gone through recently, where I needed some help. And I have this love-hate relationship with digital equipment. I don't know about the rest of you, but I experience that from time to time. And I'm on an insulin pump, which is similar to a mini computer. And because of some problems that the creator of the meter, the insulin pump had, I received a replacement pump. And so when I received that, I had to download or upload, whichever term you want to use, into a program in my computer, all the information that was in this pump. And then I had to return it. Okay. That I'm used to doing, that was okay. And I says, okay, well, I don't need to update this right now, so I'll put it away. Well, I get a notice on my computer that says the warranty is up on your old computer. You're going to need to be getting a new one, which means that I need to talk to my endocrinologist. So I need to upload the current information on my pump. And what it does, it goes into a little meter called a transmitter, and that hooks into the information into the computer where your endocrinologist can look at all the information that you have. So with this happening, I'm going to need to talk to my endocrinologist. So I now have to connect my pump with the meter because it's different than the one I sent into. So I start out this process and I delete the old pump, which is fine. Then when I start to download information, it says device needs to be charged. Well, I want to get this done, but that's an hour process. So I do that. Say, okay, I'm ready to go. So now I have my meter or my pump in front of me, my meter in front of me, my user manual for my pump, and the user manual for the meter. Trying to connect the meter and the pump together so that they talk, okay? So I look at the meter book and it goes a ways and you do whatever you're supposed to do to the meter. Then it refers you to the pump book, user's manual. So I do that and this one times out over here. So I have to set this one up again, go through this, okay? After an hour of these back and forth processes, I was ready to throw both of these instruments out the window. So I said, God, I need help with this. I know I can do it. The information is somewhere in these books, and I don't want to call customer service because I know I can master this. So I started the process again, going back and forth between the two of them. So I knew now, and it says, okay, enter the ID number from the equipment. I turned them both over to the back. They both have an ID number. So now I have to figure out which number to put in. So I went through it step by step by step. And at last, I had success on this. Yay, right? And so then I transferred the information from the pump to the meter to the program in the computer. I get ready to print out the reports and it says pop-ups are blocking the printout. Well, the part I did, Jim couldn't do because he doesn't know how the pump works, any of that. So he removed the pop-ups. I printed out the report and went, yay. The interesting thing was about that is I learned something from all those mistakes along the way. And because I'm getting a new meter, I'm going to have to go through this process again, and also then learn how to hook it to my smartphone. So sometimes it's step by step, trying something, knowing it doesn't work, asking for the help from your higher power, and letting it take over. So thank you, God, for that. We are delighted to have as our speaker this morning, Reverend Dr. Abigail Albert, and she's with the Point team where we are a member. And Abigail is going to speak to us today about saying yes to your higher urge. Abigail?
Well, thank you so much. I am going to bring up a PowerPoint in just a moment. But first of all, I just want to say good morning to everybody again. And welcome to One Heart, One Mind, Center for Spiritual Living, this lovely community that I enjoy so much on Sunday mornings. As you all know, I'm Abigail Albert, Reverend Dr. Abigail Albert, and my husband and I are co-ministers of the All Faith Center, which is a center in our house in Poway. We have a labyrinth, so we do labyrinth walks. So that's what we do. We don't do Sunday services anymore, but we have broadened our perspective to interfaith and also the walking the labyrinth. So I'm very grateful to be here with you today. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to pull up a slideshow. So hang on, everybody. Here we go. Okay. So I need to. And from beginning. Okay. Excuse me. I too have experienced a little bit of a cold, so please bear with me with this. So today, I want to start by saying that I really appreciated what Reverend Michelle was talking about last week, because she was talking about how we bring ourselves to our workplace, how we bring ourselves to our family, to our friends, to colleagues, or whatever organizations that we are presently working with. And whoever we are, that's who we are. And we bring it with us wherever we go. And she also talked about what is calling you. So when you're going into the workplace, or you're going with your friends or family, what's calling you to be and do in that particular place that you are? And I especially liked the one thing that she said, that when things seem cold, in other words, when the fire that was in you like 3 or 4 years ago, or even last month, seems to have died down, or as she put it, get cold, it means your heart's not in it. Your heart is alive and filled with love and filled with joy. And when that joy goes out, it's like things just start to cool off a little bit. So if you're in that place of things are cooled down, I just don't feel like I have a purpose, I don't have a calling that is calling me, maybe it's time to reflect and look again at what is calling you, what is your creative urge. And when you do find it, and it's there within you, of course, say yes to it. So our theme today is to say yes to your creative urge. And I always like to start with principle. because we really base our faith and our trust on the principles. We believe in the direct revelation of truth through the intuitive and spiritual nature of the individual, and that any person may become a revealer of truth who lives in close contact with the indwelling God. And I really believe that whole idea, the words indwelling God, is so important for all of us to really recognize, remember, and know within our hearts, because we are spiritual beings having this human experience and not the other way around. So that indwelling God was really helping Reverend Leslie with connecting all the equipment that she needed to connect with. And when she recognized the principle that the indwelling God is within her, things moved along quickly. So we always have to remember the indwelling God is within us, always. It's just a matter of recognizing it and speaking it. And so that is the truth about you. Everyone has the God-given potential within. Our true identity is God. Our true identity is spirit. We have come to earth to rediscover and to uncover this sense of God awareness that's within us. You know, sometimes there's many people out there we know that are just walking, not realizing the truth about their beingness, their souls, their spirit, that they are a manifestation of God. They are God being individualized, each person. And so we need to recognize this truth about ourselves. And we do that when we do our spiritual mind treatment, because that's the first thing. We recognize God. God is all there is, one power, one life, one everything. And we are one in, as, and of this one power, this one life. And that's an important principle to continue every single day of our life, to really remember that truth about ourselves. Every man, and this is a quote by Emerson, so he didn't put woman and child, but I'm going to add that. Every man, every woman, every child is a doorway through which the infinite passes into the finite, from the bigger to the finite. I don't want to say smaller, but into our beingness, our humanness, through which God becomes man, through which the universal becomes the individual. And I love that. I love the idea of we are all just doorways for God to move through and do work through us. Because, you know, I know I hear people, things going on in the world, of course, say, well, why doesn't God just change that? Or why doesn't God do something about that? We have to remember God can only work through us. So what is ours to do? We need to physically do that, be in support, stand up for each other. And that's where prayer is important. Prayer is an action. It's an action. And so when we do pray, knowing the truth about all people everywhere, that is like we've rippled out our truth and our prayers to the whole world, because we're universal spiritual beings, and we have this vibration that goes out every time we think, say, and pray. So it's really important to remember that truth about ourselves. We are this doorway that God moves through. And this is a pattern of you in the universe. You know, you are unique and so individual. There is only one pattern for you in the universe. There's nobody else like you, only you, and all your God-given talents, skills, and abilities is you. It's God being you in this universe. And so just remember that your pattern is magnificent, just as magnificent as the sun, the moon, the stars, the cosmos, and because everyone and everything is one with that creative genius, which is God. So you are as much a part of it, God's spirit, as the sun and the earth and the air and everything else, every planet, every animal, everything. We're all part of the one. And yet each one of us is that perfect, unique part of God. No one can be you, and no one can be me. We're just unique, and we have that invisible pattern within us. So the divine light within you can never be dimmed, can never be desecrated. The divine light is who you are and is constantly seeking expression in and through you. Constantly. And I love that idea of constantly seeking expression through you. And the only one that can stop it is me, is you, by saying, I can't do this, or no, that won't happen, or, so then it's like the door just closes. You don't allow God to move through you. It's constantly seeking you, giving you information, sharing with you, guiding you, directing you. And it's really up to us to really surrender to it. And I love the word when Leslie talked about surrendering to God, because that is so important. Surrendering to God allows God to bring forth your creative potential. Another principle that we live by, we believe that the universal spirit, which is God, operates through a universal mind, which is the law of God, and that we are surrounded by this creative mind, which receives the direct impress of our thoughts and acts upon it. We really have to remember that truth, because everything that we are thinking about in our mind is going right out into that law and being acted upon and manifested. And sometimes we forget that, especially if we get in our little grumpy mode, or poor me, or have a little pity party over here, or get angry. We realize that all that is going out into the universe too. Not that we shouldn't accept all of our feelings, we do. And then we can say, but I know there is a better way. I can see a better way. I can feel a better way. And I'm just going to allow God to come forth through me and show me that better way, that better feeling, whatever it is that we need to do. We're always in that, I love the direct impress of our thoughts, constantly directing that and impressing. I've got some stories I'm going to share with you later on about that. So what is the direct impress of your thoughts? Right now, right here, exactly what you are doing now. Your impressed thoughts said to yourself, okay, I'm going to attend church today. I'm going to go to One Heart, One Mind. I'm going to be on the Zoom church service because I love to be with the people, and it'll be fun and exciting, and we get to communicate and just have a good time. So the direct impress of your thoughts brought you here today. And so now we're going to ask you the question, what would you really love to do in life besides just this moment in time? So we want to get to a broader picture. So the direct impress of our thoughts in a broader view. What would you really love to do? What is calling you? Now, some of us are retired from regular, quote unquote, regular work, but we're still here. So if we're still here, that just means we have more to do. There's a lot more to do. God says, okay, you have more to do. You're not done. I am not done with you. And so if there's something that's calling you, it's time to stop and pay attention to it. Time to stop and say, okay, I'm going to go forth with this idea, this new idea that may be calling me. And what is trying to emerge through you? Now that's saying yes to your creative urge. There's something within. There's always something within us that has that potential for something new, something that will make us feel alive and joyful and filled with love of what we do. And if we're not really loving what we do, we need to stop for a moment and think about, what can I do differently that would help me really design and create a life that I love to be in and live. So your divine assignment before you came to Earth was living the life you love. And I loved Jesse's song today, Standing in the Heart of Love. That was one of the verses. Just living the life you love. Stand in that life that you love. Whatever it is you love to do, that should be part of who you are and what you're doing on a daily basis. And so it's really important, if you're not loving what you're doing, you need to step back for just a minute and say, well, what can I do differently? So the question is, are you loving the life you're living? Are you enjoying it? Are you having fun with it? Now, I'm not saying that every day should be completely like a birthday party, because, there are times when we are working on projects. Steve and I have done conferences, we're working on this and that and everything, but always say it's working. But you know what? We love the work we're doing. So it's important to love the work you're doing. So question is, are you loving the work you're doing? So I want to share with you 5 steps to creating. First step, it takes an intermission to find a creative mission. I want to share with you a story today. Years ago, I got a divorce from my first husband, and we had been attending a particular church, mainstream Christian denomination. And I knew I couldn't go back to the church, although I loved going to church. I just didn't agree with everything they said most of the time, but I loved the quietness. I loved whatever, the sacredness of the feeling of church. And so I decided I'm going to go look for a new church. So I started church hopping here, there. And finally, I just got so fed up. I said, that's it, God. I was at a stop sign. I was coming back from a church, and I said, I am never, ever, I'm talking to God now, right? I am never, ever going to step into a church again. I am done. I am finished. And at the time, I had no idea what New Thought was or religious science. I just surrendered everything. That's it, God. What if you want me to step in a church, you figure it out. I'm done. I'm not doing it anymore. And so I really was, in my heart, I was done. I was just gonna do my own thing and not go to church. So the following week, in the mail, I got a little card that said, you are invited to a seminar on reincarnation. Well, I was very, very interested in metaphysics and the metaphysical aspect of life, which the mainstream Christian churches were not. And so I said, I'm interested in reincarnation. I'm going to attend this. So I went to it. It was a great seminar workshop. And I thought, looking around, there's a lot of books here on metaphysical ideas that I just resonate with. And I said, okay, I'm going to give this church a Sunday, one Sunday. That's it. So I came back to the following Sunday. And as many of you have probably felt, when you get into this place where all of a sudden you feel like you have just come home. That's how I felt in this church. It was back in the early 90s. It was religious science at the time. And the minister was Dr. Winella Evans. And she said everything. And I thought she was speaking right to me. So I said, this is home. So by my taking an intermission, saying, I'm done, I surrender this, whatever you want me to do, I'm done looking. God was able to step in and bring me to a place far greater than I could find on my own. That's why quiet time, meditation time, walking in nature time, or even on the beach, get to that place of an intermission in your life where you could just surrender to the greater good. Thought that my saying no to church brought me to a church where I eventually did my practitioner training, my ministerial training, got ordained. I was like, who would have thought, if I hadn't stopped for that moment in time, I may still be sitting up in Newport Beach, not going to church. So we need to take that time, that pause, that intermission in our life where we just surrender and say, what's a greater plan for me, God? You're not going to hear Spirit's voice within you with a cell phone in one hand and an iPad in the other. And we see people, not just what we call the youth with these cell phones, but, you know, Steve and I see adults, and I have to say I'm using my phone a little bit more than I should too. So we have to just put it down for a moment. Just put it down and connect not only with the people around you, but with the higher power that is within you, that is trying to tell you something. So listen for his voice. Now that was a quote that was actually on the screen. So we just translate it in your own mind. Listen for Spirit's voice. It's never a step down, to step ahead. And this is for people who are still working, you know, in 9-to-5 jobs or something. It's, you know, if you're not happy working a 12-hour day, then it's time to think about accepting fewer hours, less responsibility. And if you are retired and you're working in someplace else, doing something else, maybe you're still making yourself a little too busy. Time to stop, time to reflect, time to take an intermission in your life. So here we have this young man at the top of the mountain, but, you know, divine discontent, and I'm talking about this, is God saying, stop. You know, when we're antsy, when we don't know what we want to do, or like, I have nothing to do today, or I don't want to go here. You know, so you're in this divine discontent place. It's a good thing, especially if you stop and say, okay, I am in divine discontent. I'll accept that, but I know that God has a greater plan for me. And I'm going to just take a moment and pause, breathe, get your breath going, and just allow the divine to flow through you and bring you to where you need to be. Because God always has an even greater plan for you. So honor your crazy love. What do you love to do? You're not looking for a career answer. You are looking for aliveness. You know, it's not just about work. It's about how you feel at work. Are you happy? Are you alive? Does it make you feel content, filled with love? Wherever you go, whether it's a 9-to-5 job or an organization or with your family or with your friends, do you feel alive? Does it create something within you that you say, I love being here. I love doing this. So what you love has energy and propels you into new experiences, into new insights and new abilities. Now, the interesting thing is with me sitting at the stop sign, I was a teacher at the time, taught elementary school, had no idea that I was being moved into ministry. No idea at all. But the interesting thing is, and I believe Reverend Michelle said this last week, that her teaching ability came in handy as she moved into the ministry. And I felt the same way because I'm still teaching. I'm still working with people or children or whoever I'm with at the time. And I know that God has intended whatever experience we have, whatever talent, skills, and abilities that we develop in our life, that we just carry them forward into the next step in our life. Like all the skills that I had from teaching helped me with the ministry. And the ministry has helped me with the interfaith work. In fact, new skills have developed within me. I had no idea that I could actually, and I really am kind of an event planner. I never knew I could do things like that, or be a chairman of a conference committee, which I did years ago. And then Steve and I co-chaired a conference in 2017. So your abilities come with you, but you have a new meaning and purpose because we are all evolving and moving forward in our life. And that's the way it's supposed to be. So ask this question: how do I want to spend the valuable time I have on earth? You know, it's funny. Somebody told us the other day, because it was Steve's birthday, says, you know what? You're in the last quarter of your life. We're like, never thought of it that way. And maybe it's true. However, I can still spend valuable time doing something that makes me come alive, that makes me feel creative in the flow of my life. We always make time to do what we really want to do, whether it's consciously or unconsciously. I know many of you have heard people say, well, I really wish I could travel. And then they never do. Well, they don't really want to travel. They wouldn't make time for that. In fact, years ago, I heard this story. I don't know if it was in a book or somebody, I heard it from a minister, about a lady who did want to travel. She wanted to go. She didn't have the money. She didn't have the means, but she was just new to New Thought or Science of Mind treatments. And so she packed a bag, left it at the front door. And for the next week or two, she just went in and out that door, wherever she was working. There, her bags were packed. She kept saying, I'm going to go traveling. I'm going to do that. She didn't know how. She didn't know where. And then somebody called her up and said, you know, I need a traveling companion, and I'm going to wherever it was that she wanted to go to. Would you come with me and I'll pay your way? Well, she was ready for something new. She was ready to let God take over and surrender to her heart's desire. And sure enough, there she goes. The bags are packed, she's ready to go. So we have to remember that our creativity really is manifests completely. The direct impress of our thoughts, that lady's direct impress of her thoughts said to the universe, I want to travel. Now you figure out a way. And that's what happened. Number 3, trade in your label for a ticket to go anywhere. Well, is there a label that you're putting on yourself? Like, oh, I don't have enough money, or I'm too old. That gets to be with a lot of, I'm too old, or I'm too young, or I'm too fat, or I'm too thin, or I have this, or I have that, or I can't. Anyway, we've labeled ourselves way too much. And we need to just peel those labels off and just say, you know, I'm just going to take my ticket and I'm going to do what makes me happy. I'm going to come alive. And wherever that takes me, I know God will take me to the place I need to be. And it will be great. It will be fun. And I'm going to enjoy every moment of it. So take those old labels of, and unfortunately, many people are in that I don't feel worthy enough to do something. Well, that's a label that needs to be taken off of you completely. So say yes to any desire, any hope, or divine invitation or adventure. Just say yes. Just do it. Now, funny, I have to share. When Steve and I got married, we didn't know we were going to get married, right? So we were in Hawaii, and this was after we had tried to arrange a wedding. Well, who do we ask to marry us, right? To do the officiating. We had too many minister friends, so we didn't want to hurt anybody. And we didn't want a big wedding, but who could we not invite, right? So I finally said to Steve, I said, I'm done. I'm back at my stop sign, right? I am done. If God wants us to get married, it's God's plan. I'm out of there. So we were in Hawaii, and there's a sequence of events that happened that I'm not going to go in right now because I don't have enough time. But every day moved us forward to being married. The minister was available. We found the right jeweler for our rings. And the person in the jewelry store was also an officiate of the state, so she could sign the papers. It was like every step of the way. And we kept saying, oh, well, if this works, fine, we'll do it. If it doesn't work, we're not going to get married. But God just managed that whole week in Hawaii. To Thursday night, we were able to be on the beach with our minister friend, Mary Omwake, and we're married as the sun was setting, and it was a beautiful sunset, and it was just gorgeous. We could not have planned that. there's no way we could have planned that. So we said yes to our desire, and we allowed God to take over and just do it. There are no limitations. Nothing should define us. Here's Stephen Hawking, the man, a brilliant, brilliant man, couldn't talk, paralyzed completely. Can you imagine how he felt being in the space capsule or station, wherever he was, feeling so free that there was no limitations to him at that point. So the important question is, who do you trust? Do you trust man or do you trust God? So our culture demands definition, which we know, but our soul, our soul and our spirit craves expression. We want to just express ourselves the way we were intended to express. And where you start is not where you may end up. As I know, as being the age that I am, I started off as a teacher and went through many different steps to be where I am today, as probably all of you have, because nothing stays the same. We're not supposed to. We're supposed to grow, unfold, spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, completely. So just enjoy the ride. Enjoy that ticket. 4, stop abusing and start nurturing yourself. Yesterday, I was with my daughter at the Escondido Children's Museum. It was the first time for us. And I didn't have hardly anything to eat. And I was still a little hungry, but I thought, oh, that's okay. So we went and we were there for about an hour. And I started to feel I was starving. I was so hungry. And then I was feeling a little lightheaded, because I didn't have enough to eat. And so I really wanted to stay the whole time with my daughter and granddaughter. But I knew if I didn't take care of myself, it would not be a good idea. So I said to her, Tammy, I really think I need to leave. I'm really hungry and I just feel a little off, So she said, oh, yes. And, be careful driving home. And of course, she gave me instructions. This is my daughter became my mother, right? She says, now you text me as soon as you get home. But here's where I wanted so badly to stay the whole time with them. But I had to stop and I had to nurture myself and nourish myself. I know I couldn't keep going. Otherwise, I just have to sit down the whole time. So we have to stop abusing ourselves, trying to make ourselves do more than we are capable of at the moment, or just keep on nurturing yourself. Love yourself enough to say, I need to stop right now. I need to take a break. I need to take a rest. Everything you give this world will come from everything you give yourself. So as I was nourishing myself, not only did I nourish myself, but there was a lesson here from my daughter that it's okay for her to nourish herself. And so we can't help another person unless we help ourselves. So important. It's a wonderful lesson to always remember. So number 5, just start dancing and the band will find you. Well, I have one more story for you. I love the show Dancing with the Stars, right? I think I've always wanted to dance. I never had dance lessons, but I love to watch them, and it was exciting. And I know every time I watched, I said, I would love to dance with one of these professional dancers. Wouldn't it be fun? So here, the universe heard the direct impress of my thoughts. It wasn't really a prayer. It doesn't have to be a prayer. It's still a thought, right? So some years ago, maybe 5, 6 years ago, a friend of mine and I went to the Poway Performing Arts place, and they had a whole production with some of the stars from Dancing with the Stars. So we watched the show, loved the show. Steve wasn't interested in the dancing, so I went with a girlfriend. And then they invited us to go backstage, right? And I was a little nervous, should I, shouldn't I? I said, well, why not? I'm here. So I went backstage And it was so weird because I was the first person backstage. I thought there'd be a whole line, but I obviously was the first person. And there was the couple, the main couple of the show, standing there. And so I went up and I said, would you sign the program? They said, oh, absolutely, which they did. And then I took a deep breath and I said, and the man's name was Dimitri. I said, would you dance with me? And he said, sure. So there we were. There was no music, but he just took me in his arms and we did kind of like a waltzing around the floor there. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been thinking about for so long. It was so joyful and so much fun. And somebody even took my phone. I think it was my girlfriend took my phone and took pictures. So I have a video of it too. So the direct impress of my thoughts, God created the time that I got to dance with one of the professional dancers. So just start dancing and the band will find you. So whatever it is you want in your life, just know that it's yours and God will provide the opportunities for you to do that, whatever you want. God's not limited to experts or that whatever worked in the past, it doesn't set the precedent for today. Good to step into the unknown. And you've been, given desires for a reason. The world has a great need for your gifts. What I love is my gift to do. So what do you love? That is your gift to yourself, to your family, to your world. And that is why you've received your assignment in your life. So in summary, take time to listen, honor what you love and what makes you feel alive. Your ticket is unlimited possibilities. Accept and nurture yourself, dance to your own tune, and just do it. The universe will say yes. Say yes to your creative urge. So may God bless you on your creative journey today and always. And I thank you for listening to me. Thank you. Thank you.
Lots of ideas to think about. So right now, I would like to invite Jessie to play us some music so we can celebrate the joy of Abigail's song in music.
Okay, so I was thinking, Abigail, while you were talking, I was like, what kind of goes with this? And I have this song that I've played here before, and it's called You. And I just have like a little story. May 3rd is like a really crazy date for me because a bunch of things happened in several years in succession on May 3rd. Many of them had to do with lovers that I met on May 3rd. And so May 3rd was always this sort of auspicious date. And then this year on May 3rd, I had written this song already, and you'll see why this is cool. I was out in this field and I had this mystical experience where I knew exactly who I was. And it was like this muse, creative God force within me was like my eyes and seeing through my eyes. And I just like felt the divine in everything. And then I got caught in a thunderstorm and it was beautiful. So this is a love story about me and the muse, because I found out that's my new lover. It's God. Wind-blown hair running on the forest floor. New love in the summer when the air was warm. And you rolled in like a thunderstorm. I'd already written this, by the way. In the summer when I was born. We dance in the falling of the autumn leaves. Together every season's a gift to receive. Real love, it changes, 'cause it's always free to live and die like autumn leaves. Here in the silence, here in the still, I know you better than I ever will. Here in the silence, here in the still, it's always been you. It's always been you. And it always will. Laugh out in the middle of a raging war. Real love don't need fighting for. So we pretend, but we don't keep score. Love's favorite joke is war. Our love so endless, our love so deep. All is surrendered, all is set free. Our love so endless, our love so deep. It's always been you. It's always been you. And I have loved you all my life, and now my eyes are open. Oh, I have loved you all my life, and now my hands are open. It's always been you. It's always been you. Thank you.
Perfect song, Desi. Thank you. It is now time for our sacred giving. So Lisa, if you would please lead us in the sacred giving.
That we're all just filled with a loving spirit of gratitude for the service that we've had today, and that we're all really wanting to be able to continue to grow as a spiritual center. And so that's why we have time to give back by means of a gift of that we can give through the Venmo mobile app, which is really the easiest way to give, or by mail. You can send a check to the treasurer, Jim Massopust. And so if we're ready to do that, we can together say what we say about giving. Everything flows from the nature of God's good. We receive from this flow. We give from this flow. We give in gratitude and in love. We have faith in the infinite giving nature of spirit. And so it is.
Yvonne, we have announcements.
We have a couple of announcements, not too many. Monday evening prayer group is at 6 to 6:20, where we silently do prayer for our center. Very wonderful feelings come from that. Tuesday evening spiritual learning circle, we will begin with a 4-week visioning workshop with Reverend Michelle and practitioner Raylene Clark. And that should be really good. Kind of fits with meditation, and it's wonderful. And then I just wanted to remind everybody to please take the time to read your newsletter. It will remind you of the things that are still happening, like the unexpected income fundraiser, and also the kindness fund. And a lot of effort goes into making that as good as we can make it. That the people that are working on it work very hard, and I think it's really worth reading. So even if you do read it, it's worth going back maybe one more time during the week to make sure you didn't miss anything, or just to get inspired. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Yvonne. Lisa,
Okay.
yes, will lead us in our benediction, and then Jesse will lead us out with song.
Okay, if we could just all come together and take that nice deep breath that centers us all together, so that together we can feel the gratitude that I feel for this service and for carrying forward with Reverend Abigail's talk, so that each of us can look at what is it that is really our gift at this point in our life that makes us alive and happy and fulfilled, and knowing that we are one with Spirit, and that we are living in the heart of love and God. And so I speak for everyone, I think, in thanking everyone for the service today. Reverend Leslie for guiding the service and giving us our invocation, and for Reverend Abigail's talk, and also very much for Jesse for being able to align the music with everything that we find deep and moving and true. And so I release my word into the law, and we release together by saying, and so it is.
Are you guys ready to party? I play this one too sometimes. It's called I Love Being Alive, which I thought was pretty perfect. So here we go. I woke up this morning joyful as can be. That's how I spend my day, and that's how I'll sleep. I woke up this morning joyful as can be. That's how I spend my day, and that's how I'll sleep. 'Cause I love being alive. It's the greatest thing about my life. I love being alive. It's the greatest thing about my life. Creative. I woke up this morning creative as can be. That's how I spend my day, and that's how I'll sleep. I woke up this morning creative as can be. That's how I spend my day, and that's how I'll sleep. I woke up this morning creative as can be. That's how I spend my day, and that's how I'll sleep. I woke up this morning creating my reality, and that's how I spend my day, and that's how I'll sleep. I love being alive. It's the greatest thing about my life. I love being alive. It's the greatest thing about my life. Okay, now everybody, we're gonna cultivate a little gratitude here at the end. So everybody, just in your mind while I'm singing this, an endless list of things you're grateful for. Just try not to stop the whole time I'm singing this verse until the end of the song, okay? In your mind, you can type it in the chat, just like an endless stream, okay? Here we go. I woke up this morning grateful as can be. That's how I spend my day, and that's how I'll sleep. Type it in the chat. I woke up this morning grateful as can be. That's how I spend my day, and that's how I'll sleep. I'm grateful for you guys. I woke up this morning grateful as can be. That's how I spend my day, and that's how I'll sleep. I woke up this morning grateful as can be. That's how I spend my day, and that's how I'll sleep. I love being alive. Oh, it's the greatest thing about my life. I love being alive. I'm grateful for life too, Yvonne. It's the greatest thing about my life. Couple more times. I love being alive. It's the greatest thing about my life. One more time. I love being alive. It's the greatest thing about my life. Thank you. Thank you for having me also.
Thank you, Jesse, for bringing our music today to us, and for Jean for being our engineer, and Alicia for giving us our benediction, and for the wonderful talk from Abigail. We appreciate everyone who came together to make today possible and to give Reverend Michelle a day off.